Looking at the forecast, we have some extreme heat on its way. Right now, it's only 9:30 in the morning and it's already hitting 86 degrees. If you look at some of the daytime temperatures of the days that are coming, it's going to be pushing well over 100 degrees. That means it's going to be very warm at night. Today, I'm going to show you what I do exactly to keep my garden producing throughout this heat. So the first plant I'm watching the closest are my tomatoes. These are looking really healthy right now, but several days of extreme heat can cause blossom drop, which means, fewer tomatoes later on. That's why I like to reduce as much heat stress as possible before this heat wave actually gets here, because I don't want to lose any of my tomatoes. Now, cucumbers are another crop I'm keeping a close eye on because during a prolonged heat, they could become stressed, and that's when you could start seeing a bitter tasting cucumber. And I hear a lot of people complain about that. Even if they look perfectly fine from the outside, they're gonna have a really bitter taste on the inside. My squash plants, they're growing so well, so big and just very healthy, but those big leaves will lose a lot of their moisture in extreme heat, and keeping the soil cool and evenly watered will help the plants stay healthy and just continue producing the zucchini, the squash. Now, the last is my peppers. They usually tolerate the heat the best, most out of other vegetables in the garden, but several days of intense heat, especially warm nights, that's the killer, is the warm nights, can cause your blossoms to drop and slow production. And that's why I'm protecting these plants too, because in my house, we eat a lot of peppers. And if they start slowing production, then we're gonna eat them up way too fast. So right now you could see there is some good moisture in the ground just below the surface. And that's exactly where I want to be. But several days of extreme heat on the way, the soil can dry out much faster than normal. And that's why I'm not waiting until the plants start showing signs of stress. I want to go ahead and get on getting those roots the best chance they have to make it through a hot stretch by doing a very nice deep watering. This is my rain water collection. I know it's a little ghetto, but I haven't installed my irrigation in these raised beds yet. So this is how I'm watering them by hand. I'm going to give these a nice super deep soaking before this heat arrives. And it's just as easy as just dipping in this pitcher and just go around the whole bed and just get a nice soak down. And this works really, really, really well. By doing this, this will give it its best chance to make it through this very hot stretch. Now it's time to keep that moisture in the soil, and one of the easiest ways of doing it is adding a layer of mulch. I'm using straw because I always have it around because I have chickens, and I just like the way it breaks down. I think it breaks down really well and evenly, and it goes right back into the compost pile, so I win either way. You don't have to use straw though. Wood chips, shredded leaves, pine straw, or even honestly grass clippings that are dried work very well. The important thing is keeping that soil nice and covered. I like to use straw because it works very well in the garden, and I think it's easy to spread, easy to handle, and I usually always have it on hand. That layer of mulch really helps hold the moisture in the soil and keeps the root zones a little cooler during those long stretches of the hot weather. It doesn't have to be perfect, honestly. Just a nice layer around your plants, and what you're giving them is a little extra protection from that heat. Now, there's going to be one more thing I got to show you before the super hot day comes. All right, so the last thing I'm going to do is putting up some shade cloths. And if you're really thinking about getting one, I would recommend buying one with metal grommets all the way around the edges, so it makes it a lot easier to secure it to wherever you're going to hang it up. So this is 40% shade cloth, which means it's not blocking all the sunlight. It's simply filtering some of the intense afternoon sun while it's still letting plenty of light through the plants. The goal isn't to keep the garden in shade all day. The plants still need the sunlight. I'm just trying to take off the edge during the hottest part of the day in the afternoon when it's really getting the heat starting to really build up on these plants. If you could reduce some of that heat stress for a few hours each day, especially during the extended heat wave that we're having, it could really help your plants get through it. Now, if you don't have a shade cloth, here's another option you could use. This is just a piece of camouflage burlap that I actually picked up at Walmart. It isn't designed specifically for gardening like a shade cloth is, but if you need something quickly before a heat wave, it could be something that will provide some temporary shade for your plants. The idea is the same. You're not trying to block all the sunlight. You're just taking some of the intensity out of those really hot afternoon hours until the weather cools back down. At this point, everything's ready. The beds have been deeply watered, the soil is covered with mulch, and now what's left is let the garden grow. Hopefully, a few simple steps help you reduce some of the stress from the heat and keep everything producing right through this whole stretch of hot weather. We can't control the weather, but what we could do is give our plants the best chance to get through it. If you got a heat wave heading your way, I hope you have some of these ideas that you've watched in this video will help you with your own garden. Thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you on the next one.